The Gospel according to John, Chapter 8. Read from Dr. Timothy R. Jennings' expanded paraphrase, The Remedy. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives to meditate and rest. At dawn, he again went to the temple courts where the people had gathered and began to teach them. The lawyers and Pharisees entrapped a woman into adultery and then threw her down before Jesus in front of the crowd. Then they slyly said to Jesus, "Wise teacher, this woman was just caught in the very act of adultery. The law that Moses gave us commands us to stone such women. Now, wise teacher, what do you say we should do with her?" They brought her to Jesus and asked this question in an attempt to trap him. If he said, "Let her go," they would accuse him before the people of undermining the law of Moses. But if he said, "Stone her," they would report him to the Romans as usurping their authority, because only the Romans could inflict the death penalty. But Jesus was not deceived by their trickery. He calmly bent down and, using his finger, began to write in the sand the various sins that those who had brought the woman before him had committed. He wrote just the sins, no names, no details. And when they persisted in demanding that Jesus answer, he stood up and said to them, "Whichever of you is without sin, let him be the one to cast the first stone." Then he bent down and wrote more of their sins in the dirt, no names, no details. At this point, those who heard what he said and saw what he wrote quietly slipped away, one person at a time. The older ones first, until only Jesus and the woman were left standing there. Then Jesus said gently to her, "Dear woman, where are all those who brought you here? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "I don't condemn you either," Jesus said. "Now go and stop injuring yourself by deviating from God's design for life." When Jesus again spoke to the people, he said, "I am the true light, revealing God's character, principles, and methods to the world. Whoever prefers what I am revealing and opens their mind to understand this truth will no longer walk in the darkness of Satan's ways or live in fear of God because of the devil's lies, but will have the truth that brings eternal life." But the Pharisees challenged him. "Here you are, promoting yourself. Your testimony is not reliable." "You yourself already said that a person promoting himself is not reliable." Jesus calmly replied, "Even though I am the one telling you about my purpose here, my account is valid, because I know when my mission began and where it will end. But you have no idea when my mission began, or what it entails, and where it will end. You are always making judgments, using narrow and self-centered perspectives. I don't judge anyone. I heal and restore. But if I do judge, my conclusions are right, because they are based on the truth, and the truth is seen not by me alone. The truth is also known by my Father who sent me and with whom I stand. In your own law it is written that any testimony to be valid must be corroborated by another person. I am one who bears witness about myself, my mission and purpose. My other witness is my Father who sent me." Then they asked him, "Are you sure you even know who your Father is? Where is your Father?" Jesus replied, You don't know me nor my character, methods, or principles. You don't understand my purpose or mission, nor do you know or understand my Father. If you really knew me and who I am, you would know my Father also. He said this while teaching in the temple, near the place where the offerings were put. Yet, even though the religious leaders were enraged by his teaching, no one laid a hand on him because his mission was not yet complete. Again Jesus said to them, I am going away, and you will look for me, not because you will have come to love and trust me, but in order to undermine me, having rejected the remedy for the infection of selfishness, you will die. Where I am going, you are unable to come. The Jews were so darkened in their understanding that they asked, Will he kill himself? Is that why he says, Where I go, you are unable to come? But Christ continued, You are from this world below, and practice the methods of selfishness, which lead only to death. I am from heaven above, and practice the methods of selfless love, the principle upon which life is based. You are in harmony with this world's principle of survival of the fittest, and you will kill in order to save yourselves. I am not in harmony with this world's principle of survival of the fittest, and I will lay down my life to save others. I told you that you would die, because without a remedy, your condition is terminal. Your methods of selfishness lead only to death. If you do not believe that I am the one I claim to be, the remedy for your terminal condition, and if you do not experience a change of heart and mind, you will surely die in the misery of your own selfish state. Who do you think you are? They asked incredulously. Exactly what I've been telling you all along. I am the living truths to cure your terminal condition, Jesus replied. You are so infected with selfishness and so sick in mind that I could easily spend my time pointing out the extent of your sickness. But the one who sent me is the source of all truth, and my mission is to spend my time revealing the truth about him to the world. They did not understand that he was actually speaking about his Father. So Jesus said, When you succeed in your schemes and have lifted up the Son of Man, then you will see my true character and know that I am all that I have claimed to be, that all I do is exactly what the Father would do if he were here, because all I have learned has come from him. The one who said to me is always with me. He enlightens my mind. He has never left me alone, and everything I do pleases him, for I represent his character perfectly. While he was speaking, many of the people put their trust in him. Jesus said to those Jews who trusted him, If you value and internalize the truths, principles, and methods I am teaching, you will experience transformation of mind and regeneration of character, and you will be my true followers and representatives. Then you will experience the healing power of the truth, and the truth will set your entire me free. But the Jews who rejected him answered indignantly, We are the descendants of Abraham, and are no one's slaves. Since we are not slaves, what are you talking about when you say that we will be set free? Jesus replied, I tell you the simple truth. Everyone who practices the methods of selfishness is a slave to selfishness. Now a slave of selfishness has no permanent place in the family of love, but a son of love belongs to the family forever. So if the Son sets your hearts and minds free from selfishness, you will be free to love indeed. I know you are genetic descendants of Abraham, yet unlike Abraham, you have rejected my methods, teachings, and principles, and are ready to kill me. I am showing you and telling you the way the Father runs his kingdom in truth, love, and freedom, but you prefer the methods of deceit, selfishness, and coercion, which you have learned from your father, Abraham is our father, they shouted. You feel more than genetic descendants. If you were children of Abraham in values and character, then you would practice the methods that Abraham did and embrace the truth. But instead you prefer lies, and you are determined to kill me, the one who has brought you the truth, the only remedy to heal you, which God himself gave me. Abraham did not reject truth or prefer lies, but you don't practice Abraham's values. No, you are doing what your own father does. We were not born illegitimately, they protested. The only father we have is God himself. With tears in his eyes, Jesus replied, If God were really your father, he would love me, for I came from the Father, and am an exact representation of him. I have not come on my own account, but as his ambassador, to reveal him to the world. Why don't you understand what I'm saying to you? It is because your minds are so darkened with your preconceived ideas and your preference for a God like yourselves, that you are unwilling to open your minds and receive the truth I bring. You belong to your father, the devil. You prefer his methods, share his motives, and carry out his desires. His methods lead only to death, and from the beginning he has been murdering all who follow him. He rejects all that is true, because truth exposes him as a fraud. He speaks the language of lies, which he invented. He is a liar, and the father of all who lie. And because I tell you the truth, and you prefer lies, you will not believe me. Any of you prove me guilty of selfishness or any violation of God's methods, principles? Since I am telling you the truth and reveal only God's character, why don't you believe me? A person who has been reconciled to God and practices God's methods and principles understands God's ways. The reason you do not understand is that you have rejected God's methods and principles and refused to be reconciled to him. The Jews were incensed and said, We know we are right to call you a filthy Samaritan and a crazy and demon-possessed nut. Jesus calmly replied, I am not crazy or demon-possessed. My actions and conduct bring honor to my Father, as I accurately represent him. But you dishonor me. I am not here seeking glory and honor for myself. There is one, however, who is concerned with my honor, and he accurately diagnoses all things. I tell you the truth. If anyone incorporates into their lives the principles I am teaching, they will never die. The Jews were shocked and exclaimed, Now we know for sure that you are either crazy or demon-possessed. Abraham died, and so did God's spokespersons, and yet you say if anyone practices what you teach, they will never die. Are you greater than our father Abraham? He died, and so did God's spokespersons. Who do you think you are? Jesus replied, If I promote myself or seek glory for myself, it is meaningless. But my Father, whom you claim as your Lord, is the one who honors and glorifies me. You do not know him or value his methods or appreciate his character, but I do. If I said I did not, I would be a liar like you. But I do know him and value his methods, appreciate his character, and practice his principles. In fact, I am his very thoughts made audible and visible. Your father Abraham was filled with joy just at the thought of seeing me, and he did see me and was glad. You are not yet 50 years old, the Jews retorted, and have you seen Abraham? I tell you the truth, Jesus said. Before Abraham was even born, I am. I am he who created all things. I am he who has always been. And Jews could take no more, and in a rage they picked up stones with which to stone him. But Jesus disappeared from their sight and left the temple grounds.